Hey friends, Jeff here with mixpractice.com and missionmusician.com, and today is our final part of the series, Mixing Fundamentals, kind of getting back to the basics of what's involved in mixing. And today, the final one is space. All right, so when we think about space in a mix, we're primarily thinking about time-based effects like reverb, delay, things like that that give that fake sense of space. But don't exclude things like drum room mics, and if a vocal was recorded in a cool place where you can hear kind of some reverb, you can absolutely compress that and bring that up to give the vocal a lot more of liveliness. But for the most part today, we're going to be focusing in on reverb, and specifically vocal reverb. I have a thing that I normally do that usually works pretty well. Now, it doesn't always work, but I like doing it this way first to try it out. But first, before we even do that, what I want to do is I'm going to play a section of the song, and then I'm going to pause it. And I want you to listen to the decay, because there's not a lot going on here. So let's do that really quick. All right, so you can hear the tails there. There may be, I don't know, maybe a second at most. All right, so not a lot of crazy delays going on in this song because it doesn't need it. Just some reverb. So what are some of the space questions that you can ask yourself? When I listen to a song and I start thinking about reverb, the very first thing I think of is what type of space is this band or this singer going to be in? For a rock band, you may want kind of an arena, or for a tighter sound, you may want, a room sound. Obviously, you want to match the reverb up with what the song is doing. So if it's a ballad, like a piano and a woman singing, you don't necessarily want a short reverb. You kind of want some lush reverb to really give that song a sense of space, like maybe it's played in a hall or something like that. And the same thing's true with like a very up-tempo rock song or rap song. You don't want longer reverbs on that because it'll just muddy up your mix. You want, short, tight reverbs for something that's a fairly fast tempo. So ask yourself what kind of space will complement the song. Do you want the space to sound maybe larger than life or more natural? Do you want a wide stereo image or narrow stereo image? These are things that you need to ask yourself and then decide, ultimately let the song dictate it. So for this song, I'm going to talk about the vocals, and usually the vocal, not always, but usually the vocal is the most important thing that you want to put in a sense of space. You normally don't want a very dry vocal, but we don't want something to be washy either. So let me kind of let you hear what this vocal sounds like with the effects I have on it. I have it sent to 3 different sends, so let's listen.
Will you one day go home? Will you one day?
Sorry about that. So what I'm trying to do in my mind is I want to make the vocal wider. Okay, so it's wider, but I also want some more front to back depth. Okay, so I want it to sound like it's in a real space. So let me walk you through what I generally start out with. So I have one called vocal space, vocal slap, and vocal plate. All right, these are the 3 primary ones I'm dealing with. And this is pretty simple. You can set this up on any delay. Don't worry about all these knobs here. What we're focusing on over here is the delay times. So I've got the left to 14 milliseconds and the right to 19 milliseconds. Now, this isn't a slap delay, okay? this just gives kind of a pseudo stereo feel to the vocal. Let's see here. Let me find it right here, and let's listen to what this does.
Will you one day go home?
Let me get
Will
it.
you one?
Having a problem here. Let me get it to a spot where the vocals are playing more, which you probably should have set that up a little bit better. Let's try maybe here.
I will sleep with your pillow all through the night.
All right, so did you hear that? I'm going to push this up to emphasize it. Now, it's going to almost sound chorusy when I push it up, which is why I don't push it up. I don't want it to sound chorusy. I just want to give that underneath sense of space. I want to push away the instruments a little bit from the vocal and give it its own sense of space. So I'm going to push this up to emphasize it.
I will sleep with your pillow all through the night.
All right, so it's not a huge difference the way I have it set up, but it's enough to push the vocal away from the vocal or away from the instruments just a little bit, and that's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to make this super obvious, just trying to create a little bit of space around the vocal.
I will sleep with your pillow all through the night.
All right, so it's pushed out a little bit wider. All right, then the next thing I do is I put on a slap delay. And I will just turn that on by itself. Now, this can vary greatly depending on the song, but we're all familiar with that slap type sound on a vocal. It's kind of pleasing to our ears. Let's see here. All right, let me find out what my settings are on this slap. All right, so I'm going 86 and 99. Let's hear what this sounds like. I don't think I have it up very loud at all. So let's take a listen.
I will sleep with your pillow all through the night. I will sleep with your pillow all through the night.
All right. And let's see. Let me look at something here. I do have a little bit of feedback on this. Normally I don't, but I felt like it gave it a little bit wider of a space. And now I want to work on my front to back kind of sound of the vocal. And for that, I'm going to use a reverb. And in this instance, I chose VSC. And I used the FG480, a plate, and I just adjusted it to where I want it. And you'll notice that I have a ton of pre-delay on here. If you don't know what pre-delay is, it's like if you were to put a delay before a reverb. Okay, so the vocal will say something, and then it will delay a certain amount of time, in this instance 150 milliseconds, before the reverb turns on, before it reacts. All right, so that's what a pre-delay is doing. And let's just listen to what this sounds like by itself. Let me scoot up here. This GUI is so big. All right, let me turn this back off, and let me turn this on. And let me pull the fader up. There we go.
I will sleep with your pillow all through the night.
All right, so if I were to pull this pre-delay down, it would like be immediate. So it kind of muddies up the vocal. Let's try that.
I will sleep with your pillow all through the night.
And when I put the pre-delay on, it kind of pushes it back a little bit from the vocal instead of being right on top of it, instead of being immediate. And 150 milliseconds may seem like a lot. And actually it is a lot as far as reverb is concerned, but I don't want the reverb muddying up the vocal too much. And the most important thing to me, I have to show you this funny post here that's on Slate Facebook audio profiles here. I just had it pulled up. Hold on. All right, sorry about that. So we have the word paperclip here. It says, it looks like you are applying a lot of reverb on this snare drum. Are you aware it isn't 1982? I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm showing this, but it just cracked me up when I read that. So when we first start out mixing, right, we feel we put a ton of reverb on our mix. Why? Because we feel like that's the polish. We feel like, oh, that's what we need to do to get a professional sounding mix. When in fact, that's not what you need to do. You need to bring those levels way down so you kind of feel the reverb, but not necessarily hear the reverb, or kind of hear it in spaces and rests and quick stops and things like that. Otherwise, it's going to sound kind of, well, it will sound unprofessional. It'll sound muddy and blurry and just kind of a mess if you have a bunch of reverb up in the mix. So I like to just blend it in until I start to hear it and then back off.
I will sleep with your pillow all through the night. I will sleep with your pillow all through the night.
It's definitely a taste thing. You have to really listen to it in the track in order to decide what's too much and what's not enough. So let's listen to these vocals with everything on them now. Those three plugins, the Vox Space, the Vox Slap, and then the Vox Plate.
I will sleep with your pillow all through the night. I will sleep with your pillow all through the night.
Right? And then maybe let's listen to this in the mix.
All my tears until I'm alone. I will sleep with your pillow all through the night.
Right? So it's not a lot. It's not overly processed with reverb and delay. It's just giving the vocal a sense of space instead of being, really dry and in a very narrow space. And then as far as other instruments, it's all just kind of feel like, for instance, this song, I don't normally put reverb on acoustic because I don't like the way it sounds. It kind of sounds funny to me. But on this song, it just really needed it. Excuse me. So let's see. I don't even know where I have the actual reverb for it. Here it is. I don't even know what I used. Actually, that is supposed to be off. That's why it sounded funny. So I used the Verb Suite, kind of a medium room, and I also use this for my drums as well. Let's see. Let's get up to the acoustic and let's just listen to this. Now, I don't have it up very high in the mix. But to me, it just, the guitar seemed kind of sterile almost, being dry in the mix. Now, when I have the whole mix going and everything's in, the drums, all the other instruments, you're not really going to notice that there's a lot of reverb on the acoustic guitar. It's going to get eaten up by the mix. But when it's just playing by itself in the intro, it just sounds to me, a little bit more fluid, I guess is the right word.
A sturdy new bow.
That doesn't sound right.
I will search for good omens to guide you through life.
Right? So it just adds a little bit more polish to it, the acoustic guitar. So that's pretty much it for the space video. I just kind of wanted to go over certain things. To me, the most important thing is setting your level. Like, let's take this acoustic guitar again, for example. Let's push this up and see what's too much. Right? That is way too much. I just want to put it in a space, and I want to hear that space when there's rests or pause or something. I want to hear the decay, but I don't necessarily want it muddying up the instrument. I don't want it overly processed with reverb. So to me, the most important part of setting your space is not actually the reverb that you choose. It's more the level that you are sending to each instrument. And don't feel like you have to put all the instruments in a space. You absolutely do not have to do that. A lot of mixes nowadays are very dry, especially the vocal. There's a lot of kind of drier rock songs in modern mixing. But you do want to create a sense of space in your mix so you can have width and so you can have front to back depth. All right, so it's kind of almost three-dimensional. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this series. Wasn't sure if I was going to announce this or not, but I am going to be creating a kind of 31 mix tricks in 31 days. Now, I am not the first one to do this. This is not even, my idea. I see it on all these other mix channels where they have their 5-minute mix tips. As far as I know, I think Graham over at the Recording Revolution was kind of the pioneer for this. But I just want to make, maybe 30 or 31 5-minute video tips, because I know it's hard to spend a lot of time watching longer videos, and especially mine, because I tend to ramble a little bit, and I apologize for that. Sorry, just the way I am. But so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to say around 5 minutes, because some of these I'm not going to be able to squeeze in 5 minutes. But 5 to 7 minutes type of things. So I'm going to do 31 of those. Not exactly sure when I'm going to start, or even I haven't started filming any of them at this point, but they will be up. I'm not sure if I'll start at the beginning of the month or at the end of this month or when, but I am going to start very soon. And they're just going to be just quick mix tips to help you, do certain things. Okay? So if you're interested in that, subscribe to my channel, like this video if you liked it, and I hope you enjoyed this little series. I tried to keep it as short as possible. I think all the videos are under 20 minutes, so that's good for me. So anyway, I will talk to you in another video real soon. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.